Team Liquid's upset.
Thank you, Riv. That game was just insane. We have to start out by recognizing the fact that that game was just utterly insane.
No, I think from Champs that you could totally tell exactly how that game was going to play out. You know, when you see those 10 cameras in the rifts, you're like, guys,
no, that was
there's going to be a pentakill followed by a quadra-kill and like 17 dragons.
You're right. There's nothing to analyze here. What are we doing?
Yeah, look at my tweet history. It's there. I called it the whole time.
All right, so let's start with Champion Select, though, because I do really want to touch on this. Let's look at the two team comps and the way they were set up. We had this high amount of burst on the side of Team Liquid versus this disengage and then kind of chase down effect on the side of TSM.
Yeah, the team that TSM made for themselves was counter-engage with recovery and then kind of chase down to re-engage but keep you at an arm's distance. But then Team Liquid had this hard engage composition that wants to go in and dive.
Yeah.
And when those teams clash at each other, it's you dive, you get backed off, and then this team on TSM has to chase you down. But that means they're not in a position to get objectives. They have to show up first to get these objectives if they want to claim them. 100% objective control by Team Liquid because of that. Because if you show up to the Dragon first as that engage composition, if they show up, you can engage into them. But if you show up first and then TSM comes up and they're like, we're counter-engaged, we want to walk into you, they have to wait for Liquid to make the first move. And Liquid's first move is like, we're just going to take Dragon.
Yeah, and that was really well played by Team Liquid. And kind of the way you look at these comps, and again, I want to kind of echo what you're saying about the fact that TSM can't force the issue. There's so many other cool intricacies here that are worth kind of keeping in mind. So first of all is, we haven't brought it up in a while, the stat curve in season 2015, where instead of this linear growth of champion stats, it dips for a while and then it scales up really hard by the end game. The only stats you really gain on level up are tank stats, right? Health, armor, magic resist, if you're melee. So up until 18, for the most part, TSM are squishier than a normal champion would be, right? When they hit 18, they get a whole bunch of tank stats, and then suddenly, oh, they can survive all this burst coming out, right? The Annie, the Lysandra burst, all this stuff. So it kind of makes sense that later on in the game, they actually start withstanding all these hard CCs and all this burst damage coming across. The other thing I want to talk about is Team Liquid's choice to put Quas on Aurelia. Because when you play wombo combo teams, one of the worst things that can happen to you is getting split pushed on, where we want to group up as 5, but this guy's over the bot lane doing things that we can't deal with. The fact that Quas is not only on a cleanup champion, so that when the wombo happens, he can go do other things, but on a good 1v1 champion to prevent the split push win condition, or sort of the diffusal that way, was really good by Team Liquid.
Yeah, I do want to jump into our first replay because it kind of harkens to the point you're both hitting on and the way that these teams interact in a team fight. We're going to go to the first 5th dragon.
The 5th dragon, actually, if you want to.
You're right. Actually, it is the 5th dragon, so that's a better way to say it. Where TSM is attempting to contest it, and they find themselves in a position where they might actually be able to. So we're going to pull that up onto your screen, and then, Freak, I want you to walk through this one.
Yeah.
Because you can kind of touch on some of the misplays that come through here.
So what's beautiful is the very start of this one, just briefly, TSM actually managed to cut off Team Liquid. Keith is stuck on the side. Also special there, you can see like the AL on his name on the side right there. They've actually cut off the hard engage where Keith is not going to be able to easily go in because he can get jumped on by Cassio, hit by Jinx, things like that. So this is almost a really good spot for TSM. Problem is, though, they don't press advantage enough, and they allow the dive to come in. They don't finish zoning off of Keith, so Lysandra comes on in, they immediately go for Dyrus. This is still like level 13, 14, 15 right here, so these champions are fairly squishy. Great Zhonya's great play here, but it's already too late, right? The counter engage didn't happen, the equalizer didn't happen, the knockback didn't happen to keep the guys alive against the burst. The burst happened, and then a 4v4 sort of happened. Team Liquid to start walking out. What happens here, though, is Keith is like, I want to kind of help you, I want to kind of help, but they're going to burn flashes and things like this because you have to realize when you actually do get jumped on like that, right? When the fight does peter out, get out of there, don't give up map control to do things like Baron.
Yeah, all 5 members of TSM kind of funneling in there and running head first into Team Liquid as opposed to kind of playing out that spread out thing that they want to do. Now, we have a unique opportunity to get some words with Team Liquid's jungler, so we're going to send it over to Kobe on stage with Dominate.